If you're ready, Mr. Prochnow, I think we
Good.
could start.
We'll call the ADRC Transportation Committee meeting to order. Roll call. We have everyone present except for Bobby Craig and Andrew Hagan, plus numerous other people. Public comment? None.
There has been no public comment received.
Upcoming meeting date and time, November. What was that?
Yep, it's scheduled for November 17th of 2025. This is
Okay.
just a yearly meeting.
Okay.
So,
Okay, staff reports. Austin.
okay, Austin, I will just tell me when you want me to advance the slide, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
I will minimize this. I can, you know what? I'm just gonna sit at the desk for this part.
Now, Randy being on our transit commission has heard a lot of this before, but with us meeting once a year for the transportation committee, I wanted to touch a little bit more on annual numbers. And although some of our other routes don't directly correspond with the 8521 grant through human services, there's a direct correlation in ridership through them. So it'll give you a little bit of background, especially those less familiar with our doorstop service and how the ADRC and Dunn County Transit come together. And if there's any questions through all of it, feel free to stop me and we can dive into stuff more. So with that, we can get started. Agenda today, you're talking about ridership through the few routes that we have, our financials, how we're funded, and the breakdown of that from everything from the Human Services Grant to how we're paid by the state. And then a pilot program that us and the ADRC team are brainstorming and putting together for 2025, how we can get into the more rural areas of Dunn County. And then another annual electric bus update. Starting us off, doorstop and Red Cedar ridership. So the light blue line in the middle of the graph, right almost a median mark just below our median is our doorstop service. Has a nice uptick in October. Should be right in the middle of all of our years. We can go to the next slide. Through those doorstop and Red Cedar riderships maintaining their current levels, I'll back up a step here. And with how tight we've been with our drivers at transit, we lost a couple, and I filled in a bunch, just covering lunch breaks. But normally we have 2 buses out from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., a solo bus out all day, but then a secondary bus on the doorstop route from 8 to 10 and then 2 to 4. Well, through all of October and through currently, we don't really have that most of the time with someone out on medical leave and a termination. So to maintain those numbers with mostly just 1 bus out there, only decreasing versus September by 8%, our utilization is up, and maintaining those numbers has been great. But looking at the community ridership in that light blue line, it's the best year ever, and it's been the best year ever for many months of 2024. On the weekday ridership, the lower large graph shows weekday and Saturday ridership, and then breaking out the Saturday ridership on the top right graph, doing very well 2023 as well. But up until September of 2023, that route was free to the public for 2 years. So September 1st of 2023, last year, went to be $1 ride or buy a punch card for 20 rides for $15. to the general public, or $10 for elderly, disabled, or CVTC students. So maintaining and beating every other year on the community ridership has been a great milestone for us, especially with coming back to a not free fare system. And with the ridership increase we've seen on the community ridership, a lot of those riders used to ride the doorstop bus, but when the community route wasn't working for their needs, whether it be they didn't live close enough to the route, or it took too long, or they just didn't know about it, a lot of those door-to-door riders are riding this community route, saving money, getting to where they need to go faster, and that is also freed up our doorstop service to help others that need it. So completely different routes, but they really correlate and are able to help a lot more. So just maintaining those numbers on the doorstop, but seeing the increase on the community is helping all around. You can go to the next slide. And then the Stout ridership has been great as well. A lot of these months are teetering towards the top tier. This includes the PM route, but 2023, if we look at ridership as a whole, it was the best year by about 800 riders out of all the years. So, and Stout's enrollment has decreased. I looked at the numbers from when I graduated in 2015 to 2024 here. It was about 9,600 in 2015 or so, and it's about 65 or so hundred. So maintaining that high ridership and getting some monthly ridership numbers of the best months ever, with the lower enrollment has been great to see for the utilization of the kids that are on campus. Okay. Dunn County Transit funding. So our main funding source is our 5311 WISDOT revenue that flows in from the FTA. That is calculated out by our total expenses minus our fare revenue, minus any contra expenses, insurance reimbursements, that sort of thing. And then that's multiplied by 50%. And we have to come up with the other 50% in local share. 8521 grant revenue through Human Services for our doorstop service and volunteer rider program. Menominee City subsidy, touching a little bit more on that. The subsidy through Menominee, City of Menominee, was an annual subsidy lumped in with the rest of the subsidies. We have been able to, for 2025, to switch that over to a contracted service, so it is separate and not in the same pool as other subsidies. So that will be a change for 2025 for the good. The UW Stout subsidy, that is a subsidy that is paid by a percent per credit for every student. Passenger fare revenue, and then contra expense. We had insurance reimbursement in 2024, and then total revenue has to match total expenses for that year. Door-to-door bus service. What is the doorstop service? That is a door-to-door bus service that is ran in the city limits and outside the city limits. We go out as far as we can without turning rides down in town. $4 one-way service in town, $7 one-way service out of town. You call dispatch 2+ hours before the needed service. We have 25 to 40 daily riders. All of our buses, no matter if it's the doorstop bus, the community bus, the Stout bus, they're all ADA accessible. So no refusal of service on any of the routes based on ADA accessible buses. Any questions on that or anything we've had up to this point? Okay. So if you didn't know as well, we have a bus tracking app. This used to be through Ride Systems. We had a lot of issues with it. They were purchased and bought out by Transloc, and you download this app, and it just shows exactly what bus services or where you're at, when the next one's coming, that sort of thing. If you'd like Tracy to just copy everything on that hot link other than the www, we put that into our browser, then we can just show the routes in the area. The hot link doesn't like the www in front of it for some reason. Or we can click on it, bring it up, and or if you just go to dunnride.com on your browser, it'll show you that as well. Here, I can share my screen too if you'd like.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, looks good. All right, is everybody seeing my
See your
screen?
emails.
Emails.
No. Here we go. Okay, so out of these routes, as long as your map, whatever's on your map, if it's zoomed in or zoomed out, it will show you whatever is in that radius. So, and then on the left side of the toolbar, you can click on the route that you'd like to see. We can look at the upcoming times that it'll be there. It'll be there at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock to the Stout Library is the next 2 times. Then it'll show all the upcoming stops on that route. If you want to see, well, which bus will be faster to get on between the Stout route, the community route that stops at a few different of the same. So Stout route in red, community route in green. Doorstop is taking his lunch break as we speak. And then those are the 3 buses that are currently out. So Doorstop bus does not have a route, so you won't see a fixed route service, a bunch of stops or that on there, but it still shows where it's at. Okay, so that takes us through that. We can go back to the slideshow. I could share it, Tracy, if it's easier to. Okay, so on the route, I think a big thing that has helped us increase our community route ridership is getting some good verbiage in the bus shelters. Everything from how much it costs to ride, how to get a hold of us, how to track the bus, where it stops at. All of this, as of this past summer, is in every bus stop. And I think this has really shown just on the day-to-day ridership, as well as the increased monthly ridership of seeing our best months ever, some of these past few since they've been up. Transit team had a meeting with ADRC earlier this year. A thing we've ran into since I've been here since 2020 is our volunteer driver program is down to one driver, and we get multiple emails and calls a day about our volunteer driver program. Volunteer driver program takes individuals from Dunn County to anywhere from the Eau Claire Luther Hospital to the Minneapolis VA. And pre-2020, I've been told that our driver pool was around 12 to 15 volunteer drivers, and it's been down to one. It was up to two for a little bit, and it's been hard gaining ground on that. So we went back to the drawing board to say, well, how can we get into the rural areas of Dunn County efficiently, where we're not burning man hours and expenses with nobody riding the bus like some of these fixed routes used to do when our bus service had a fixed route that went to Eau Claire or Colfax, that sort of thing. So I brought this up to the Transit Commission a few months ago, and Dunn County is really based into 4 zones on, bringing Highway 25 down and then splitting it at 94. And it creates 4 squares, 4 rectangles with a center radius in the middle. That center radius in the middle is almost what our daily doorstop service can handle without saying no to in-town customers on helping out as many as we can without saying no to others with going out that far and getting a few people on the bus at the same time. So the other idea was for some of these outlying areas was starting off with 1 day per month for riders to call for a ride in advance into Menominee, whether it be appointments at Mayo or they would like to go grocery shopping, that sort of thing. If we went to a fixed route system that would go up to like Colfax once a week or month, Boyceville, Connorsville, that sort of thing, and picked up in a city center, the elderly and disabled, the ones most likely needing this bus, would still need to get a ride into town. That doesn't make much sense, especially if 0 to 1 people ride it a day. Well, if nobody calls for that ride in advance, the bus just wouldn't go up there. So no extra expense, no extra miles on the bus. But if we had, let's just say, 3 to 4 riders that call between Colfax, Sand Creek, Tanner Lake, Ridgeland area, we just do exactly what we do for in-town rides. Is we plan they need to get picked up between 9 and 10 a.m. and we could pick 3 people up and be back to town within 1 hour, with it taking 30 minutes to get up to Ridgeland and back, that sort of thing. And then we take them back during more of our slow time in the early afternoon. And let's just say first Tuesday of the month, it goes up to the top left quadrant, second Tuesday of the month, top right, so on and so forth. Fare rate, we need to talk to ADRC about this too, but they have money set aside for the volunteer driver program that doesn't get close to utilized because of the low volume of the volunteer rides. So I think some of that could, instead of them paying the volunteer drivers that don't really exist right now, putting that towards the bus service to being able to get out to these rural areas at our out-of-town doorstop rate, or with how far it is to these quadrants, what we do for out-of-town for the agencies that we bill, it'd be $15. Still very reasonable for pretty much taking a an hour in the morning to complete, and then an hour in the afternoon to complete. Let's take it back to this. Does anybody have ideas, thoughts, comments, concerns about this? Okay.
Okay, we're good.
Oh, electric bus update. So the Transit Commission hears me talk about this a lot more when we meet on a monthly basis, but I'll just fill the group in on the delays from Phoenix, the bus manufacturer. So we wrote purchase orders up for these buses. These were contracted in 2019. Purchase orders I sent out in fall of 2020. Since then, these buses have changed their charging ports on the chargers that we've had installed on these. The bus batteries manufacturers that were under contract with this bus manufacturer have went out of business twice. Right before COVID, when they had their bus almost complete, about 70% through tests that takes 2 to 3 months, that was shut down. You mix that with battery manufacturers going out of business in 21 and 22/23. We're at this point where not just Dunn County, but Bay Area Rural Transit, county in La Crosse. There's multiple Wisconsin agencies, transit agencies that are in this agreement through WisDOT and this manufacturer, Phoenix Motor Cars out of California, putting these buses together. That this is the last emailed update in late February of this year of what they are willing to do for us. They're maintaining our base purchase order from 2019. The vehicles have increased by over 55,000. Losses will be realized for the manufacturer in order to honor PO, which they should be. To commit to upgrading the charging stations to the proper connecting port and voltage necessary, to the change of the new Gen 4 system at no cost, and deduct 3,000 each of the participating transit agencies in honor in response to Bay Area Rural Transit's calculation of $800 in lost utilities for the chargers being turned on. It is our real intention to see our first FTA project delivered, and I hope that you'll support us as we continue to spend all of our time, effort, and resources into providing you with our latest accomplishment. We are determined and hope you will walk through us to the last stretch. Our next update was supposed to be here in October. I sent an email last week with every Wisconsin agency copied on it asking for another update as well. One positive from this delay is the technology, like cell phones and everything else, technology is improving. When we initially were on a purchase order for these buses, they're supposed to have 115 kilowatt batteries, which you can roughly equate to miles, around 115 miles on a charge. Most likely less, considerably less when it gets cold out, but those are up to 145 or 155 kilowatt batteries, which is almost 50% better through this. So that is one positive I've seen from this. We don't have our chargers turned on, so they are not costing us like they are Bay Area Rural Transit. So other than me waiting year after year, expecting these buses to come and not ordering conventional purchase order gas buses, and our fleet aging a little bit. I put one in for 2025, but if I would have known that this was going to take this long, I probably would have put 1 or 2 in before this so we could phase a bus out, every year. So our oldest bus is 5 years old, with the cutoff being 200,000 miles, easily hitting that benchmark. to do that before the bus rusts out, that sort of thing. All right, I put a lot of information everybody's way through that.
Any questions from anyone?
Thanks, Austin.
Okay, thanks, Austin.
Got it.
Okay, I sent out to the group a summary of our transportation grant. I don't know if anyone needs a copy of that in front of them, but Austin kind of alluded to a few things. You need some? Okay, hold on. I will pass those out. I'm not making you get up. No, that is okay. Okay, so just to briefly recap, this year in 2025, we are receiving $113,258 if we do decide to go forward with accepting the 8521 transportation grant. This does require a 20% county match of $22,651.60. For the first time since I've been here, we've added a project. We've traditionally had project 1 and 2. The first one is again the doorstop bus program, which Austin spoke about at length. That is very well utilized in with our funding and has been for many years. The second is our volunteer driver program, which again Austin did discuss a bit. We are down to 1 driver. There are lots of challenges with getting new drivers, although it is something that we do work on and advertise for regularly. Last year, we had budgeted for $12,000 in expenses in the volunteer driver project. This year, we cut that in half, down to $6,000, and we're using that additional $6,000 for project 3, which is that pilot project that Austin talked about in terms of providing regular service to the 4 quadrants of the more rural areas of Dunn County. If some folks here were also in our ADRC committee meeting when we were talking about our 3-year aging plan, that's actually also fulfills one of the goals of the 3-year aging plan. So that is something that we've looked at, wanting to provide more service and more access to people outside of the city of Menominee. So we're very excited about this. Our intention is that initially these rides will be provided without a fee to those participating, in the hopes of making the project more popular and grow. And then over time, we will assess to see, most of the time we have a shared cost for riders. So as things develop and hopefully as they grow in popularity, we will reevaluate that. So those are the 3 projects that we have planned in our 8521 transportation grant application. One thing I wanted to note, Bernie is now actually the lead person because his position changed. He's now the Aging and Transportation Programs Manager. So I'm giving the report this year. He's here listening to how this goes, and next year he'll be the one giving it, but he's been really instrumental in writing this grant this year. He's been just amazing. So I thank Bernie for all of his work in this, but we are very excited. Like I said, this is the first time since I've been here that we've added a program, a project for this grant. And looking back as far as I had access, it seems like this is the first time we've tried something new for quite some time. So excited about that. And any questions from anybody?
Number 6, consideration actions taken by the Transportation Coordinating Committee. Approval of the 2024.
Sorry, that's a typo. It should be 2025. Yes.
Say 2025.
Yeah, it should be 2025.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
2025 8521 transportation funding application. We'll need a motion.
Paula makes the motion. Suzanne? Okay.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That takes care of that. Otherwise, no other questions. We have adjournment. Next meeting will be on November 17th of 2025. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. All right. thanks all, and now we'll have round 2 ADRC committee meeting. It'll just take me a second because I'm gonna have to pull up the other. Do you wanna, well, no.
I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't matter.